Before we begin, I have just one request. Put on your headphones, turn off the lights, and let the world outside fade away. Because some stories aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be felt. Every whisper, every breath, every sound behind you might not be just in the story. So, are you ready? Let's begin. He hadn't meant to idealize her, not this time. But it happened anyway, as softly and surely as breath leaving his lungs. It was unintentional, like a song stuck on loop in the back of his head. He saw her the first time beneath the low gold light of the cafe, radiant in a sundress the color of a ripe apricot, laughing with someone she didn't seem to know well. She wasn't the organizer, but she could have been. She smiled like someone who belonged, pulled out chairs, scooted over, asked questions with a kind of warmth that disarmed you before you could prepare your armor. Her smile landed on him eventually. Matthew, an ordinary man in an ordinary life, knuckles taut around a beer bottle, afraid his fingers would tremble again. They did that sometimes. He didn't know whether it was the anxiety or if it had simply become a part of him. Something inherited, perhaps like his father's quiet rage or the lonely silence between the two of them. What does your tattoo mean? She asked, all lean in curiosity, gap toothed innocence, the kind of attention that felt like sunlight on skin long cold. I drew it, he said. The little ghost he'd scrawled in a notebook years ago after his father ignored his brand new leather shoes. A boy trying to become a man, trading in his scuffed up Vans for something real, solid. But nobody noticed. Nobody ever noticed. I think I felt invisible, he told her. She didn't laugh, just nodded, eyes big and brown green, or maybe hazel, like she was collecting little pieces of him, listening not to reply but to understand. God, that was dangerous. Second meeting, cafe. Worn leather seats, the smell of old espresso soaked into the wooden counters. Matthew jittered like loose change in a dryer, trying to be something approximating calm. So what brings you to Lille? He asked. Her eyes didn't blink right away. A pause. Silence. That terrifying vacuum into which everything, his sense of worth, his rehearsed charm, was swallowed. He filled it. Kept talking, rambling, fiddling with a sugar sachet until it burst in his hand. She was peeling at her nose then, sunburned, flaking like glue. Little freckles dancing across her cheeks, upper lip unshaven. Human. So perfectly human. He told himself, don't idealize her. Don't do that again. But there she was, with her summer dress and childlike wonder, crinkled eyes, and the softest French accent that made his heart hurt. He was learning, growing even, wasn't he? Third meeting. Her apartment. But you don't know me, she said, her head tilted, resting on a pillow. I know, he said too quickly. I've been reminding myself that you're just another individual, he continued. That you're flawed, that I'd have to accept that version of you. She frowned. It sounds like you've been thinking a lot about me. I have, he admitted, idealizing me. I'm trying not to. That's why I've been thinking about your flaws, she exhaled. That's also obsessive. I don't want to be anybody's limerent object. He paused. The word hit with the weight of truth. It's reductive, she added. Dehumanizing, even. No one ever sees me. They see something else. What they want. That guy, Laurent, already grabbed my waist multiple times after I said no. I flinched. He kept going. I'm not allowed to just be. Matthew felt it then, guilt seeping into the corners of his chest. He hadn't touched her like Laurent had, but he had projected. Was that better? We can go back to being friends, he offered. If that's easier. She stood. She stood. The next day, a message. Hi, Matthew. I think we got carried away last night and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. Is it okay if we go back to being platonic? If so, are we still on for the fireworks? I would bring my friend along. She hit send. She expected kindness, a soft reply, closure. Instead, pages of texts, long, ranting, unsolicited introspection turned accusation. You can't tell me how to feel. I care about you now. You initiated intimacy. Don't tell me not to get attached. Page after page, as if a kiss were a contract, as if drunk affection was legally binding. You're afraid of intimacy, but open to a romantic connection. You've been hurt, you're scared. Page after page, as if kissing him was a sentence she had to serve. She stared at her screen, nausea turning in her stomach like spoiled milk. All they'd shared was a beer, a bad date, a quiet night, 3 times. That was all. And now, this. Matthew, she typed, I'm feeling overwhelmed. You've crossed several boundaries. You're psychoanalyzing me, a near stranger. I simply don't want to be with you. That should be okay. She pressed send. His reply? A knife cloaked in guilt. You should be more considerate about the feelings of those you initiate intimacy with. She wrote again, firmer, sharper. She had to. We don't know each other well enough to be having this kind of emotional conversation. I won't have it. Blocked her. He did. He did. Then unblocked. Sure, I shouldn't have sent all that, but I stand by what I said and send me your bank details for the beers. I wish you the best in Lil. But the worst wasn't what he said. It was how it felt, that lingering presence, that knowing he'd imagined her into something consumable, digestible. She could taste it in her noodles, smell it on her skin, the weight of being perceived so violently without consent. He had broken her down, reassembled her like a doll, moved her eyes, removed her mouth, left just enough identity for the fantasy to latch on. She was no longer a person, but a stage, a projection screen for someone else's hunger. And it was violating. That night, Nora dreamt he followed her. Woke in sweat, heart pounding like thunder in a tin can. She got up, checked the door, fastened the chain, shut the curtains, flicked on the stove light. What if he was out there, watching her window? The fear wasn't rational, perhaps, but neither was his obsession. He wasn't a monster, just a man. But wasn't that the point? Limerence wasn't flattering. It was degrading. She wasn't loved. She was imagined. And he resented her for not becoming the story he wrote. And he, Matthew, he stood in the cold, outside her building, door locked. If he could just explain, just speak to her in person. He sat on the curb, hunched, muttering his lines under his breath. Drunk girls laughed nearby. One let him in by accident. His foot caught the door before it shut. Then, the stairwell, Nora's floor. He sat, heart knocking, hand on his thigh. Knock, knock. If she just heard him out. Knock, knock. He had something to say. Knock, knock.